Hi, everyone. I'm Jane Prada, director here at the Baltimore Jewelry Center. We have a really full house. I'm guessing we have about 22 people here in the gallery, and it looks about like at least 10 people online. So that's great. Good job, Stevie, for bringing the people out. No surprise. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. I'm just going to do a very quick introduction and then turn it over to Stevie. Stevie Pniewski is an artist and maker based here in Baltimore, Maryland. They received their BFA from MICA in fiber in 2018. They spent the last several years working as a metal fabricator and upholsterer in the furniture industry, first as a contractor and now alongside their partner, with whom they operate Realm Furniture. They make unique objects and furniture that focuses on eclectic and aberrant design. A few summers ago, Stevie took a bead and flush stone setting workshop at the BJC, and since then they've taken several courses with us to further their skills, and they've also served as an intern for the studio. Currently, they teach offsite workshops for the BJC at the University of Baltimore's Community Engagement Center in Southwest Baltimore. They also help facilitate our teen program and have recently begun teaching beginner courses as a member of our instructional team. Of their work, Stevie says, I'm attracted to the joy and lack of seriousness in a clown, the performance and how I imagine it feels to release and act like a fool. A clown is confident in being ridiculous, and I want to be the clown. For their residency, Stevie sought to find freedom and a sense of fun in their work, to create pieces
This
that spoke
time
to their
to be in my
reverie
classroom
and could
is
make
where I can
viewers
watch and be available.
It's been really lovely having Stevie as a resident artist the past few months. Prior to their
Yeah,
residency, as
yeah,
I
you
said, they were
can't do
an
what you're
intern
doing
and they
during
became an
this.
integral part of our team at the BJC. Our interns really assist us with so much around the studio. Shout out to a few who are here. And we loved seeing a different side of Stevie through the residency, watching them dedicate themselves to their practice and utilize techniques in inventive and refreshing ways. It's really special to us when we have people who come through our program kind of along a pathway where they start as students and then grow into interns and then apply to our residency program. It's something that we just really love seeing. Stevie's created handbags, a pair of glasses complete with a granny chain, and myriad pieces of jewelry and samples throughout their residency. I'm really excited for you to hear from them and share with you the work that they've been creating. Let me share my screen.
Hey everybody on the Zoom and here. Thank you all for coming out. This is a lot of people. I'm totally not nervous at all about anything. So look good, Mercury? Cool. All right, to start off, I'll tell you all a little bit about me. My name's Stevie. There's no surprise. It's up there. I've lived in Baltimore for about 10 years and I went to MICA, like Shane said. The entire time I was at MICA, I knew about the Baltimore Jewelry Center and I had always dreamed of making jewelry, but something about, I don't know, me at the time, I was too anxious and kind of not ready and too self-conscious about like my own making to approach it and actually like live the thing I wanted to be living. I don't know. I used to make like all kinds of little things for my parents, like wire wrapped rings and stuff. And I never dreamed of being here, like where I am now. So from there, I'm gonna fast forward right to going to MICA, to my, okay, there we go. To my MME work. So I went to MICA as a fibers major and I did their MME program, which is their multimedia event where we put on a big fashion show. I basically made a whole entire line of clothing for that. During the time, I was really inspired by Varvara Stepanova, who's up on the right side of the screen. She was a Soviet Russian constructivist, and her work focused a lot on bright geometrics, bold simplicity, and utilitarian function. And she created a lot of functional uniforms for specialty workers. It was something I was thinking about a lot then was, how do you make clothing that's interesting, but also utilitarian and durable and functional for people who aren't just like, I guess, cis men, that anyone could wear. Stepanova's focus was also on making clothes that was void of any gender, so anyone could wear them. The piece that I have on the screen is all canvas with plasti dip on the coat. It was super durable, super heavy. I referenced a lot of older imagery and like objects too, like the chatelaine or a corset visually. The chatelaine in like the small pocket kind of things you will see in the next few slides. Interested in that kind of work, I started making a lot of like really optically visual pieces and doing a lot of printing on fabric and playing around with different kinds of fabric to use those in the garments that were meant for utility and function, because all I ever saw was things that were black or gray or khaki and nothing in between. And so this is some of more of the work from my MME program, and these are more pieces from Vivara Stepanova. I was really interested in her patterns and the like overlapping of shapes and colors, and just that like kind of just saying like, I'm here in your own clothing. And both these pieces reference corsets in their like visual language, but are also made of like heavy cotton using like rivets, O-rings. Like this one here, you can hook something onto the bottom of this kind of like corset. But yeah, I was interested in just combining things that were utilitarian. I don't know. Can you see the PowerPoint? We good? Okay. All right. Sorry, y'all. Our internet went out, but we're back. Okay. So where I left off was that I was kind of really just, it's not sharing my screen. Okay. You're fine. All right. Thanks y'all for being patient, and I'm sorry to everybody on the Zoom. So where I left off was that I was getting very disenchanted with how people were treated in labor, and that kind of continued for me throughout the rest of my career until I found the BJC, but we'll get there, but not yet. After I stopped making clothing, I started making leather goods because of how functional and how they just lasted for so long. The longevity of them, the durability of them. I also just love the tactility of working with leather. I did a lot of saddle stitching, and so this is a diagram of saddle stitching. It's where you use two separate threads that are connected at the end and you stitch back and forth. It's probably one of the most durable stitches to use for something like this. It's important for me because it's used in both functional and utilitarian objects like a horse saddle, and it's used in high-end goods like like a horse saddle, yeah. In high-end goods like Hermes, all of their bags are hand stitched by saddle stitching. And that crossover to me was really interesting. And I continued using bright colors and hand painting the leather. These are both painted by hand and marbled by hand, and then completely stitched by hand. I was very, very into the handwork and the labor behind it. And to continue from there, I started making bags, and I was really interested in using metal hardware. Not really sure how to though, and how to make that my own beyond like going to the mica store and buying all of their O-rings from them and incorporating those into my bags. I was still doing a lot of like weaving of colors and images and materials and playing around a lot with just combining things and experimenting. The bag on the right was actually made after I worked at this place called Crump and Quash for a really long time and hadn't made anything for years. I stopped making work for about 4 years because I ended up working at a furniture manufacturer here in the city called Crump and Quash, and they hired me as an upholsterer, and that's really helped me with my skill and my technical skills in all aspects, really. And then they taught me my foundational metal skills. They did a whole lot for me and where I am now. The piece on the left is stainless steel. They taught me how to MIG weld. I sanded. I've used all kinds of industrial shop tools. It was really good for me. I ran their metal shop and their upholstery shop for about 4 years. And I left there unhappy also with how people were being treated as workers and laborers, but I left there learning a lot about myself, and that was that I didn't want that. Here's some more of the work that I did. I would do a lot of leather strapping. I would create entire frames for case goods and tables, really big work. And I got really interested in what would happen if I started making small work instead, and actually pursued the thing I'd always been interested in, which was jewelry. And so I left there probably 2023 at some point, 2024, and found the BJC. And honestly, it's kind of one of the best things I've ever done with my life. Before I started coming here, though, I got a pewter melting like kiln from my bosses at Crump and Quash. And I started playing around with pewter on my own and casting it in my studio. And I would use like that hard red mold max to make molds of waxes I had carved and then cast them. The piece on the right was really what got me to be like, I need to start doing this seriously and I need to find an outlet for it. And this is before I came to the studio at all. I figured out that I could cast stones in place in pewter that you shouldn't be able to cast in other metals because of its low temperature, its low melting point, and that got me really excited. And I just needed to learn more. And so I also started forming my own bowls, taught myself how to set bezels. A lot of this wouldn't have been possible if I had never gone and had that job for 4 years that I made no work in at all. And leaving that, I was really distraught. Like, what do I make? What should I make? What kind of artist should I be? I kind of spent so long making work for other people and making their ideas come true that I didn't think I was supposed to be my own independent artist. And if I start breaking up a little bit, it's because this is a little emotional for me. The BJC did so much for me. They made me believe that I could actually make my own work. So I started doing this. This was really fun, but it wasn't enough. And I started taking stone setting classes here. Well, it was the first class I took, Shane mentioned, with Sarah Parker. And she's not a regular teacher here, but she really made me love the place because she was so welcoming. And it was really thrilling to learn how to finally professionally do something, I guess, instead of just teaching myself all the time. And I started setting stones into pewter, which is pretty easy because it's so soft. And I wanted more of a challenge. And so I just kept on taking classes. I got the opportunity to intern with the BJC, and I interned for 9 months and took a casting class, and which taught me things well beyond what I could teach myself. This piece on the right is actually an engagement ring that I made for my partner. It was a big step for me to go from casting to fabricating. And let's keep going. So the first class I took, first full-length class, 12-week class I took as an intern at the BJC was casting and lost wax casting with Andy Lowry, who's a phenomenal teacher. And I, at this time, also realized this love that I have for clowns. And that's kind of all thanks to my dad, I guess, actually, who's I'm sure on the Zoom. It wasn't until I made a lot of clown stuff that I realized it came from him. He's like got this insane clown collection of like 20 animatronic clowns. We do Halloween every year and it's wild, and we set up a whole circus in our front yard. But I never thought that the like horror clown would turn into like the cutesy clown, and that I would actually grasp onto that as an artist and start making work. So I started casting, and after casting, setting stones, and I started teaching myself how to do loop and loop in fine silver, which, if you guys don't know what it is, it's a chain making technique that goes back to ancient Greeks and beyond that, or before that. And it's primarily done in fine silver or gold, and it's all done in fusing, and you're basically weaving links. And it was meditative for me. It kind of went back to what I was doing in the fibers world before, where I had been weaving. I know I didn't show that work, but I did a lot of weaving and kind of overlapping colors, and just, it felt right, is what I'm getting at. And I started making more chains and just kept on going. And there's some glass beads in here that I was kindly taught how to make by our studio manager as a skill trade. It was, I mean, I'm honored that some people have shared their skills and their knowledge with me here. It really feels special. More chains. This is actually from my intro one class that I took with Jay Diamond, and then from a plating class I took with her after that. So it was copper and now it's fine silver. And then on the right's a clown that I made in intro also, then took over to stone setting with Molly and turned into a brooch. I've done a lot of exploring and just trying out new things. These are also all from my stone setting class. Really into the clowns, also into just like the mask of a clown. Like, clowns are funny, they're also sad. There's a lot of things going on there. And I struggle a lot with expressing emotion on a day-to-day basis, I feel like. And so having that kind of outlet in my art did a lot for me. And relating to them also did a lot for me. And I learned a lot of stone setting techniques. I think the brooch on the right is probably one of my pieces that I'm most proud of. Technically, it was a lot of steps, it was a lot of work and a lot of thinking. I felt like I came out of that knowing a lot. And then I went to Penland over the summer of 2024, and I took a blacksmithing class because I really missed working in an industrial setting and doing bigger things. And it was phenomenal for me. I think I realized how much I just like working alongside a school like that, because I went on their scholarship program as a Pine Scholar. I washed probably 900 dishes a day for 2 weeks straight, and then I took a 4-week class, and it was, as grueling as that sounds, incredibly worth it. I met amazing people. I got to participate in an amazing community that was doing all kinds of things for people. And I came back with this amazing piece, and I know y'all can't see it on the Zoom, but it's like, for everyone here, it's like this big. And it's all made out of steel. And then along with that and doing all this other stuff, I have been working at a leather shop for about a year or so, and I do repairs because I miss working with fibers. And so this is a pop-up collapsible top hat I had to repair. See if that'll replay. That looked like that at the beginning. It was completely torn apart. It's from like the 60s or the 80s. I was really proud of doing this. Along with that, to go back to the leather, some more repairs. It's really simple work, but it's fun and it helps my brain. And I don't miss doing fashion as much because I get to do this on the side. And then, like Shane mentioned, I do this thing with my partner called Realm. I shouldn't say it's a thing, it's a business. We make furniture together. He's an amazing woodworker, and I assist him by doing his upholstery and his metalwork. So the one down here is a project where we reconstructed this vintage chair and had to figure out how to make like sheet pans, not out of metal, but out of like resin and fiberglass to put up this upholstery on. It was wild. I don't know. I've learned so many things and gone through so many different avenues, and just the accumulation of all those things. I don't know. Sometimes it's hard for me to think about because I have so many things. I don't know. Here's a lot of the work in progress that I've done throughout my residency. I've done casting. I got to take an enameling class, and that was phenomenal. I've really wanted throughout this whole time to bring more color into my work, because as I showed all those images, a lot of them were just the colors of metal or the colors of stones or a patina. And patinas don't last, but enamel lasts and powder coat lasts much longer than a patina would. So finding ways to bring that into my work was really important for me throughout my residency, and really pushing myself to like think of new ways of fabricating that I haven't previously done. Like, I was really interested in making my own hardware for my bags so that I wouldn't just go to the hardware store and buy all of their O-rings and then just, slap them together or something like that. And along with that, I started making a lot of chainmail, also very tedious, very meditative for me. Just thousands of links over and over and over again, but I love it. Something about it just makes my brain kind of like feel at peace. Along with that, took a glasses class, and we'll see those in the hallway, from Margot, which honestly did so much for my technical skills and my fabrication. I am so much more confident in everything I do now. I really don't know how much I can stress the fact that the BJC has done so much for my confidence. in me as a person and just finding myself, so much so that no, you're okay. I for good luck wore every single piece that I own from somebody at the BJC here to my talk. So and then after this, it's just some photos of like inspiration that I was looking at through my residency. So I was really inspired by these like Victorian bags that were made out of chainmail or like beaded, or the ones up in the top center are like beaded satchel bags that are held by the center. Just different constructions. The one on the right is also kind of similar to a chatelaine. It would be worn similarly. And I was also looking at a lot of furniture at the same time, because the images in furniture, since I assist in making furniture, also kind of play into my work sometimes. I was also, I'm sorry if anyone here is afraid of clowns. I didn't say anything first. Very inspired by clowns. So that's it for my slides. And now we can go into the gallery. Thanks, y'all.
There we go.
Also, the table in the kitchen, so I'm handling it. Please do this.
No, you can try it. My name is Sarah. I'm Rosalie. Oh, you can show me. Yes.
Mute going on CB's computer. So okay. Tell us what we're seeing.
So here are some of my bags. I have these 2 chainmail bags. One of my clowns. And some more of my fun. I don't know. I really just got into making the chainmail. This is European 4-in-1, and they're the same on both of the bags. This was the first one I made. The weave up here is called alligator's back at the top. I really wanted to incorporate different alternative materials. So it's rubber, pearls. The back is the same, and there's a suede liner on the inside, so people on the Zoom can see. Because I miss my leather. And then this was the thought, and then this is the final piece in my mind. And I took the enameling class, and I got to enamel these cute little stars and accessorize it and bring color to my work that wasn't just the color of silver. And then there are some samples on the wall for me trying to figure out, just bag hardware samples, and then the enamel samples. There's some work that I did. I was here during the holiday sale that was in December. It was during my residency. And during that, I decided to make these clown pins. And I don't know, because I like clowns so much and, learning all these new techniques, I included them in my show. They were made during my residency, so it felt right. And then the necklace also was made during this time. A lot of different things. I was trying to explore a bunch of different avenues and just kind of see where the work took me throughout that. And then kind of like the centerpiece, we'll talk about those first. These are some chainmail rings. The one in the center was fabricated and all the links were soldered together, powder coated with a ruby set in it. And then the 2 top and bottom were made in wax, powder coated.
Did you carve the bottom one? Was it?
I made a bunch of rings and just glued them together.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you. And then I guess the centerpiece of the whole show are my glasses that I made in Margot's class. If y'all aren't taking a class with Margot, take a class with Margot. She'll do wonders for your skills. And then I made this loop and loop chain and cast all the terminations. And it's really heavy, but I'm very, very happy with it, the amount of work I did. And I should credit Ian, who's over there. He made all of my displays, and he is the other half of Realm. So
Tell us a little bit more about these terminations. Oh my gosh, I'm seeing my terrible squish.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
The terminations, they look like kettlebells.
I told you not to say it.
Everyone in the studio has taken one and done a little squat. And I love that. They it was a trial to cast them. Honestly, I did my math wrong. My sprue tree came out hollow, but I got all of the balls for terminations, all came out. And then I polished like crazy. I really wanted the shape to match kind of what the glasses have and mimic that. So the half circles next to the circles. And then you'll see also mother of pearl on the sides that I riveted on. Very scary for me. I was very worried about breaking those, but they came out and I'm very happy with them. Also the first time I've ever worked with mother of pearl, so. The trial.
Like you like a good trial.
I do. I like to suffer for my heart.
Elliot said I love the enamel in the back and the samples are so fun.
Thank you.
Caitlin said shout out to Margot. Okay, question from Elliot. How do you think these ideas we're seeing will show up in your work with Realm? Do you have any kind of ideas about how that might manifest or any new ideas?
Probably a lot more casting on that end. For like knobs and pulls and the chainmail possibly. I think doing the chains would really translate well into that. There's also like a huge resurgence in like medieval kind of furniture, and like chainmail has had a big moment in collectible furniture design right now. So, and probably using enamel in all the ways I've learned to like put color into my work to just, you know, decorate more
Furniture with
ornament
enamel accents
throughout the whole thing.
Randy Helton said, so excellent. Yay, so excellent. I look forward to seeing everything in person very soon, which, yes, as a reminder, if you're on the Zoom and you're nearby, please come check all this out in person. And Caitlin also said that she loved your story and all the things that she didn't know. And Bailey Hawley joining us from Little Rock said, love those bags. Oh my God. Caitlin said, medieval stuff rocks. Elliot recommends looking at, correct me if I'm wrong, Elliot, Quango Lee's enamel work and furniture, if you don't know about it already. So someone's doing enamel work and furniture. That should not surprise me, but I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by the jewelry crossover.
Yeah, just wonder about the durability of it. I mean, I guess it's more about my own naivete than anything. Yeah.
So obviously a highly finished object is very important to you, and you are constantly in pursuit of like the highest polish you can achieve.
Yes.
And so I'm wondering is there, aside from like pursuit of like a very high-end item, like capturing the essence of a luxury good, is there anything like perhaps like meditative or conceptual that you're also pursuing in like these high finished items? Or the finish, I would say.
Repeat the last part.
Is there anything in like the pursuit of a like highly polished surface that is maybe like it has a deeper meaning to you than what we might see?
Okay, yeah. So you said meditative, yeah. It was very meditative for me. Anything that takes me a long time I find to be meditative. And it's just relating to the work and being able to, I don't know, it's so tactile, and touching something with my hands and being able to do that with my hands rather than like, I don't know, throw it into a tumbler, which I'm not against. And honestly, that's what I did for a lot of these because I just didn't have time. But like having that experience and that moment with the work is really important for me, I feel like, and it brings me a connection to the pieces. And so sitting there forever and polishing like a mad person is just in a way for me to just be with the work and feel like a connection to all of these techniques that have been existing for hundreds of years and the people who made them and created them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've got one. Oh, I beat you. So obviously you are an accessories person.
Yes.
Is there an accessory that you haven't made yet, or one that you're like really aiming to make in the near future? Or even just in the future, do you have like a dream accessory that you want to make? Because you really take jewelry, like you take metal and jewelry beyond like jewelry, which is something I am really excited about in your work.
Thank you. Shoes.
Yeah.
Honestly, is one. And then I guess it's not an accessory for the body, but it's like an accessory for your house. I really want to make lamps.
Awesome.
There's a lamp making workshop coming up at the
Yeah.
Baltimore Jewelry Center at the end of March.
I have a couple questions, one for the audience. Sign up for that lamp making workshop, baltimoreJewelryCenter.org/classes-workshops.
Question mark.
Second, I'm wondering if you could talk about the role that like material choice plays in your work. Because I know you've been like really particular about like making samples for color and for form. But I also know that when you first started bringing the leather work in, you brought in dozens and dozens of samples that you're like poring over the details of. And I feel like I saw similar things with the textiles for your bag and similar things with the cords. And I'm wondering if you could talk about how material choice factors into your practice as a maker.
So what's important for me is, especially when I'm working with leather, that the leather is malleable but not fragile, or it won't easily be marred, or like, I guess everything can be marred, but the durability in the long run is what matters to me most, I think, when it comes to working with leather, and the ease of altering something. I had an issue when I was working with fabric, and I know there is fabric in this. I pushed myself to use some rather than leather. But when I was doing a lot of garment making, just the like thinness and the
Shiftability.
just the movement of it was too much for me, and I didn't like it, and I just needed something more tactile and more like there that I could just hold on to, and I knew that it wouldn't, like, if I ripped it apart, it would, or I tried to rip it apart, it wouldn't rip apart. And so I guess the longevity of something is really important to me. Also the feel, because I won't lie, I go off of like how things feel and visually look a lot of the time. Yeah, and that's, I guess it comes down to, can I change something about it, and how hard and how easy is it? And then once I do that, how difficult would it be for the environment or someone else to change it afterwards? Like, how long is it gonna last in this world? And so like the chainmail, it theoretically will last a very long time. The handle of the bag, probably not so much. The rubber is natural, so it will probably degrade over time, but that's also something I'm interested in. It's using just interesting materials and combining them in different ways and seeing how they look next to each
Mary?
Question?
And then Molly.
This was fantastic. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciated what you shared. And I made a connection that maybe not a real connection between your fashion work where there's a fair amount inspired by corsets
Mhm. and
and the chainmail. It's also a protection for the body. And I wondered how you thought about your work as protection.
Oh yeah, it's definitely, I think what came with the utility and the function of this clothing, the clothing I was making, was protection. And also the bags, if you have anything in there, you're not really gonna be able to get inside of the bag unless you go in through the top. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it was, you know, when I came here and started making, again, I was very unsure of what I was making, and I was kind of very guarded in that. And I think a lot of that comes out as me making something to guard something else. Because I was so unsure of what I was doing. Yeah.
Mol?
Yeah, mine goes back to your material. You have so many different elements. Do you find there's a specific order of operations for you? Does the design inspire the material choice, or do you find the fabric, the leather, do you let them inspire design? Is it
Yeah.
sort of 6 of one, half dozen of the other?
I find that most of the time the material inspires the design. I have a difficult time designing a piece and then fully making that same exact design. So I'll kind of pick things out that I'm drawn towards, and then I will let them tell me what they should be in a way. I'll start, and then a lot of times I'll just get rid of something. I'm sure a lot of y'all saw like a bag I had floating around that's not done. It was kind of the situation with that one. It's just, I get to a certain point where I know what direction to take with something based off the materials I'm using. I kind of just feel the material gravitate towards a certain use.
Couple comments and a question in the chat. So Vicky says, so impressed with your creativity and your dedication to your art. There's some amazing pieces.
Oh, it's my grandma.
Aww.
Thank you.
So cool. Caitlin says, wow, that was an amazing connection to protection. And Sarah Wolfenden followed up, I love your vulnerability and clarity about how it informs your growth. And then Mark, might butcher this name, but Placatoris.
Yeah.
Amazing work and displays. I can see your dedication to your craft. It's very admirable. What are you planning to make next?
Oh, thank you, Mark. I don't know. Bags, more bags. I don't know. I'm very interested in enameling and powder coating right now and trying to see what I can do with that. I want to take so many classes that I feel just like all over the place that I don't know what I'm gonna make. And I think whatever I learn how to do next will probably dictate
What you
that.
do next? Yeah.
But I would like to keep on exploring the bags and do larger chainmail and cut my own links for them. So I didn't cut these links because that would be crazy. There's like probably 2,000 links, if not more, in these bags. So
How'd you get the links?
I bought them on the internet.
Silver, are they silver?
No, they're aluminum.
Oh, aluminum. Cool.
Yes. It was also important that they wouldn't be too heavy when
Yeah.
you're wearing it. So they are durable to an extent, but also not like going to make the person wearing it feel fatigued.
We really love we don't use our tagline often, but it is art, metal, objects. We like the objects
Yeah.
part, and we like when artists come and highlight that aspect of the kinds of making you can do here. So probably.
So there's a little stem set in that.
So yeah, these are some-
Oh, look at that.
Those were connections for bag handles, like how they would connect to a bag that I was trying to work out. Where they are like tapped and threaded. So
Some serious skills.
I might have one last question if nobody else has any first.
I think you're good to go.
Stevie, did you know that people can help make internships and residencies like yours possible by going to BaltimoreJewelryCenter.org/donate?
JewelryCenter.org/donate and donate money.
I like the superhero pose.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then you could project somebody through the studio just as I have.
Just so
been.
you, yep, you're right,
And
right.
they'll be
You were
just as
funded.
happy
You
about
were
it.
funded by someone anonymously. I
Yeah.
don't even know who it was. No, that's
But
all right.
I love them
That's
for
good.
it.
Exactly.
And I could love you too.
Well, bravo, Stevie. I know
Thank you.
it's so funny. Looking back on our notes today when I was working on your intro, and seeing how so many times you were like, I don't know if I'm making enough. I don't know if I'm making very much. So it's like
That's my
right.
yeah. One of the things I think about the most is the sign that you have in the office that says "Be decisive,"
Oh, yeah.
and I try really hard to do that, but it's still really difficult.
Yeah.
For me.
Oh, I feel
Well,
Yeah.
you can hear that in the what are you gonna do next? But
Yeah, I don't know.
life is long. There's time. Thank you all for being here. So many former residents and a current micro resident.
BaltimoreJewelryCenter.org.
Donate.
That well, I've trained you, so I don't need to do that part of my job. All right, thanks everyone. Hope to see you again soon for whatever's next. We have another talk next week with Felicia. That's Tuesday, right? I think it's Tuesday. Yeah. So join us for that. All right, thanks everyone. Bye.